What's up, you guys? Ross Sapp. Welcome to Fightful. It is Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2024. No humping today on Valentine's Day. Let me throw up my little window here too. What am I doing without my frame? What am I doing? You know what? I can do this one even. We'll go with the Bengals themed one. I use this one over at Common Bengals W. But no hump today. Jimmy Van is out today. But we've got the What Do You Guys Want to Talk About podcast where you send in super chats and humper chats. Super chats here on youtube.com/Fightful. Humper chats over at humperchats.com. That is HUMP, like we're humping, HUMPERCHATS.com. It is our Streamlabs platform. So if you ever have any problems here on YouTube, or if you're watching on twitch.tv/Fightful Gaming, or any number of our X or Twitter channels or Facebook, you can send in questions via Humper Chats, and we would greatly appreciate that as well, because that basically dictates how long this show is. This is what we do every week when Jimmy isn't here. But also, if you want more, maybe you want more questions answered, FightfulSelect.com, the best $5 in the business. I know a lot of you are like, man, why in the heck would I ever pay for wrestling news? It's not just wrestling news. It's the most accurate wrestling news that has ever existed. It is the most wrestling news that you will get anywhere else. If we aren't breaking the story, we're going to have additional news on FightfulSelect.com. But in addition to that, we have over 40 podcasts a month. Now we have movie reviews, show reviews, additional news shows, and we have Q&As there every single week, not just from me. Every other week, Grapsody drops a Q&A over there as well. And those guys are just brilliant wrestling minds, Reg and Phil. Formerly Will, who actually got picked up by AEW. But get in those super chats. Get in those humper chats. First off, I want to shout out our wonderful sponsor, NordVPN. I'm sure this is, you know what, that's old. That is an old graphic. Doesn't even apply anymore. That whole 1 month off thing, not even relevant anymore, because right now at nordvpn.com/Fightful, you save big and get 4 extra months. How about that? Get an Uber Eats voucher even. Choose one of their 2-year plans. Create a new NordVPN account. The bigger the plan, the bigger the reward. You remain a Nord subscriber for 31 days, and after 31 to 50 days, they will email you your Uber Eats voucher. Now, here's why I'm using NordVPN.com this weekend. There's a UFC pay-per-view. Honestly, the next 3 look like fire right now. $298, $299, and $300 look incredible. But unlike FightfulSelect.com, UFC keeps raising those prices. If you want to keep those costs low, use nordvpn.com/Fightful. You change your virtual location with just one click, and you get the same prices they're paying abroad. In addition, they got password managers, file encryption tools, threat protection, and it's the fastest VPN on the planet. I am using it right now. My virtual location, safe and secure. I use it when I travel a lot because don't want anybody getting access to my data, passwords, all that good stuff. And if you're like, oh no, I won't know how to use it, they got that 24/7 tech support. NordVPN.com/Fightful. Man, I got to live on this computer and on my devices when I'm working. NordVPN is fantastic. Love them so much. Ryan Lambert says, please more SRS cat content. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm at Sean Ross Sapp over there. And like that is more like a personal page. I don't post a lot of wrestling stuff unless it's me being like, hey, here's what I did for work, etc. But I post a lot of my cats over there. I have 5 of them. Alex Barry, thank you for the super chat. I will see if you submitted a question or anything like that. But I'm moderating this show myself, so hopefully I'm able to spot that. KE775 says, why did WWE split AJ from the Good Brothers? I do think an NXT run is going to be great for them. I think Sean will give them a lot of freedom. So shout out to Corey Brennan, who has been one of our best hires that we have ever had. He is going to be a part of our Scoops team for years to come because he's had just an incredible amount of news over on FightfulSelect.com from the NXT side of things. especially regarding Shotzi's injury, which we did a free post on Fightful Select on last night. He reported that they would be at the show. I think it'd be good too. They're very clearly not being used on SmackDown unless it's them walking Mia Yim down the ramp or something like that. And like they haven't wrestled this year. They haven't wrestled on TV since September. So like, what are we doing here? Why they switched them up? I don't know. I don't know if it's a fit thing, but I think if they're gonna lean into the trios, which I hope they do, I would like to see them used more. Flame says, do you think IWC and wrestling media are ruining wrestling? No, I don't think wrestling media is ruining wrestling. Here's a little tip. If you want to avoid it, don't read it. Don't engage in that discourse. There are plenty of communities available that don't have any of that. We are rarely surprised as rumors and reports keep coming out. Debuts, ship jumps, returns are rarely a surprise. Buddy, if you think that wrestling media and the IWC are ruining wrestling, you are in the wrong place. Fightful ain't for you. You should probably go and only follow WWE, AEW, those types of pages that won't give you that. So no, I think we're doing a great job covering what we do. Van Twinblade says your BFF Shaza tried to hired Dak Draper to hurt Laney Luck. Now she's going to pay for it when Laney and Kenny Alfonso stomp a mud hole in them this Sunday at Casa Loma Ballroom at St. Louis. Did I see that Laney like has a broken elbow or something? If so, get well soon, Laney Luck. And especially if you're facing Shaza McKenzie, get well soon. Put a nice steel plate in that elbow, crack her in the head, please. Any Hall of Fame news on the horizon? Based on what I had heard, they're going to stick with the smaller classes, but I haven't heard names of late. Have you heard who the mystery person at NXT has been teasing is? No, but I know it's not Okada or Julia. As of now, that is not, it's not scheduled to be either one of them. If AEW wasn't around, do you think Punk would be back in pro wrestling? Maybe in some capacity. I feel like one of the big things about CM Punk was nobody would make him a tangible offer. There'd be people that would say, oh, you want to come back, right? But based on what he had said in the past, I don't know if anybody made a financial offer to him. So it was just kind of feeling it out type of thing, and he wanted a tangible offer. I don't think he would have been. Surprised QT is coming back. Thought he wanted to wrestle. What changed? Well, FightfulSelect.com, best $5 in the business, reported that this afternoon. QT Marshall is headed back to AEW. He hasn't stopped started as of yet, but he is scheduled to return to the company, but he's not going to be wrestling, at least in AEW. He's allowed to wrestle about anywhere else except for WWE, to the best of my knowledge. But they did value his abilities as a VP, but the wrestling thing didn't seem like a big fit there. QT, however, wants to wrestle, wanted to prove himself. He got in incredible shape. And I think that if he gets over and becomes one of those people that people are like, damn, he's really killing it here, they'll bring him in and wrestle. Can you ask AEW Games to add new match types? I'm surprised they're continuing with the characters. There's no buzz for that. I mean, this was always the plan, was to support it long term, but not. I'm surprised. Keeping it Jeeb says, Sean, are you a fan of Pat McAfee? Not just his inclusion as an on-screen character, but as his show as well. Random question, what's your favorite wrestling video game? Favorite wrestling video game is SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. If you could run with a trigger button and pivot when you run, I would still be playing that game today. Yes, I'm a big fan of Pat McAfee. I didn't follow football as closely as I do now, so I wasn't familiar with his career until it was over, but I found the Palomalu clip where he talked about that, and I just thought he was so hilarious. And he and I messaged each other a few times years and years ago, before his show just blew up. And there were times I was like, does this guy even really remember who I am or anything like that? We would tweet each other here and there. But then he came over, said hi to me at Raw, and when he was doing his McAfee Minute where he gets people to sing happy birthday to Michael Cole when it is not his birthday. He tried to get me to sing along. It was very nice. It was nice. I like Pat a lot. I was watching his show earlier. I thought that Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, had a very insightful conversation with Pat McAfee about TV rights, which is something that Pat McAfee is so uniquely qualified to speak about, because obviously numbers, TV rights is something that factors into his career an awful lot. He's very familiar with pro wrestling, all that as well, and that element, and then NFL, and then they're talking to an NBA guy about it. I thought it was really good. Question for the hump: do you think it's possible if Cody hasn't re-signed, they pivoted directions to keep him happy? I still haven't got an answer if Cody has re-signed or not. I'd be surprised if he didn't, but I haven't been given that information. But they pivoted because the audience wanted them to pivot. Who is a current star who would be a great producer? Steve Macklin. Now, that needs to happen way down the line, because hopefully we've got, 10 to 15 years of Steve Macklin left. He's 36 right now, so 10 seems about right considering his style. But that guy is a student of wrestling and absolutely brilliant. Fightful going to have a Discord. X and Reddit is toxic. So I've mentioned this before. I will be doing the majority of my interacting on either a Discord or FightfulSelect.com once Mania is through. That's something that I've communicated to Jimmy that I wanted to do more of, is on those platforms, because, man, some of these people are getting too weird, just getting a little too weird. But yes, we are planning a Discord. I got to make sure that the appropriate people are running it. I have to see if I can integrate it into Fightful Select and how that will work. What's your comfort match to watch? Shelton Benjamin versus Shawn Michaels, WWE Raw. Ryan says, how awesome is all the Fightful overbooked content? Yeah, now they got Corey Brennan doing interviews for them. In the Weeds, I think, is one of the best wrestling podcasts there is. Like, I love the idea of doing a morning show. The dream job in my head is just me having a morning talking head show, that being it. But however, I don't like the mornings. I like rolling in at like 11:30. So I really love In the Weeds, so I can hop on there. Jay White says, Sean, hope you're doing well. I am doing well. Thank you. Says, wondering if you know why the bunny left AEW and if she'll ever come back. I've been told the door isn't closed, but I wasn't given a reason as to why. She hasn't wrestled since she left, I don't believe. She hasn't wrestled since September. She only had a couple of matches. She lost both of those matches. I know there was some discussion, like, should they have her lose as soon as she came back, but she wasn't going to factor into the top of the card, but I don't know if that has anything to do with why it is that she left. Dante says, finding it hard to care about the Mania season with all the Vince stuff, knowing there are people still complicit that are with the company. So there's going to be a free post over on FightfulSelect.com over the next few days where I talk about some additional information that I find out. So I know there are some people that are like, oh, why isn't this being covered as much as Cody, Roman, Rock? Why isn't it being covered as much as? The nature of a story like this, especially with the lawsuit, is it's going to be slow moving. We can't manufacture information. We can't make people talk, especially about sensitive subjects. We can't force them to do that. Also, we're working with, I don't want to name the outlets, but numerous outlets, sharing information there, figuring out what information, one, needs to be disseminated to authorities or anything like that. There are people that might have been victimized that don't want their names out there. Despite all this, they still don't want their names out there. I know that I was told within the company that they believe at least one person that was implicated and not named, they believe has been long gone from the company. What that means for anybody else, that I don't know, but we're going to have more information on that as I shore that story up on FightfulSelect.com. That'll be on our free tier. Percentage of Malachi Black being WWE bound. I'm going to say if his option doesn't get picked up, 75%. As of now, I got to put it at 49% because AEW holds option years. Who would you like to see Mercedes feud with in AEW? Hikaru Shida. Hikaru Shida, she wanted to do some Joshi wrestling, so why not have her compete with a Joshi talent? I think that would make sense. Isaiah Martinez says, waiting for my first Blue Chew order. Thanks, Sean. Well, thank you for supporting us. They have been our longest lasting sponsor that will help you be long lasting. With Mercedes, a lot of it is how healthy is she? Is she able to step in immediately, or will they set something up? Will they have an established heel, or will they go with a respected talent? I think that Hikaru Shida can fit all those roles. Nelson says, if anyone high up in AEW saw the tweet of Soft Ground Wrestling Uganda tweeting TK, it would be a great way for AEW to expand to new markets in Africa, especially with Queen Aminata already in the promotion. So it depends. Integrating or making promises of we'll do this with them for them is a lot easier said than done because of travel, because of anything visa related, if they're doing any ounce of work. I love what Soft Ground Uganda is doing. They're supposed to be on Indeed this week, which is one of our shows on Fightful Overbooked with Mike and Righteous Reg, which would be incredible. I love what they have done. It is the essence of pro wrestling. And by that, I mean people who love pro wrestling doing it by whatever means they can. They tilled some dirt. They put up some poles, some strings, and they said, let's beat the shit out of each other. You guys get excited about it. Let's have some fun. And you guys have some fun watching. Then they put it on YouTube and everybody had fun watching them. I wonder if them getting a ring, I hope it keeps, the same charm, obviously, because listen, these fellas shouldn't be wrestling around in dirt. They should be in a good, clean, safe environment. And that's what we want for them because it seems like they really love pro wrestling. I had pitched this and it was actually relayed to them. I hope the soft ground match, which the ground ain't soft, I hope that becomes like their big feud ender, like one of their big matches. Like I challenge you to a soft ground match. I hope that the name sticks too, but it's so charming. It's so endearing. It is the heart of pro wrestling is what they're doing. And I love that. I really love that. I mean, I used to wrestle on a mattress in a barn, on the grass, on trampolines. Who didn't, right? On track mats that we found, on anything that you could. It's what you do. And they're having a lot of fun doing it. I love to see it. I was a big backyard wrestling viewer back in the day. Not the hardcore stuff, just, yeah. Any update on when we see Megan Bain in AEW? That's being discussed. I don't know when the contract is up. Percentage, we get Mercedes versus Shuri. Brother, I hope so. Shuri Kondo is one of my favorite performers in the world, getting into the territory of one of my favorite ever. Tracy says, Kevin Patrick, now Matt Camp, should we expect more? As they begin to decide who they feel like they need and they don't need. But I don't want to sit here and put like a death sentence on anybody's career. Kevin Patrick, it wasn't working out. Wonderful guy, it just wasn't working out. I heard he's doing okay, though. Any information on AEW WBD? There are discussions. I don't care what Abu says. No one should go anywhere near his special white sauce wings. This man posted what he posted online. Oh boy. I can't believe he did that. No shame. On Super Bowl Sunday, he tried to upstage it. C says, any news on Ospreay's first match and Pac's return? Nope. He's supposed to be in the... I think that's still being discussed, but he's supposed to be in the ring by Revolution. Pac, there was a point where they didn't think that they would get him back for quite a while, if at all, And it's always the type of thing that can come back and affect you, but I'm glad that he's back in the fold. Why isn't Santana on TV? I don't know. He hasn't been since he beat Ortiz. I'm going to find out why, though. That's a good question. He's still working indies. He's still in the company. I wish I had a good answer for that one. Any guesses on who Okada and Ospreay will have their first feuds and matches with in AEW? Okada's going to come into a big angle. I don't know if he'll come in as a face or a heel, but I've been told that he's supposed, as of the last thing I heard, he was supposed to come in for a big spot and was supposed to set something up way down the line. Do you think Priest cashes in before Mania? That way Seth only wrestles one match. Who do you think leaves Mania as the World Heavyweight Champion? I think Drew might leave as World Champion. Seth has left as World Champion. He will get his WrestleMania main event if they do a tag match. Drew can finish his story. Cody can finish his story. Will says, SRS don't do percentage. Weird people will clip it and act as a fact. Save yourself. Yeah, I would like to very much never do that. For those of you wondering, I would really, really like to never answer, can you put a percentage on? I would like to not do that. Now, if I say something is 90 to 95%, you can pretty well say it's going to happen, and I'm just leaving a little room for the craziest shit ever happened. It says Triple H wanted to work with Stardom. Could you see him working with Rossi's new company since they want Julia? Yeah, but I think Julia is going to come over to WWE. But yes, I can tell you people in WWE, people in Japan that I've talked to believe that there will eventually be some sort of soft connection there. Whether that happens imminently, I don't know. But I think that Julia, and whether or not she is successful and sort of what kind of steward she is for, oh my gosh, dropped my phone. What kind of steward she is for that type of connection or relationship would be helpful there. A reminder, guys, get in your super chats, get in your humper chats. Who's possibly behind the Three Faces vignettes? Answered that earlier. I don't have the answer. Just know it's not Julia or Okada as of now. Just Sam sends a humper chat and says, how much power is QT expected to have over creative? He'll contribute, but I mean, he's in a VP role where, creative pitches are made, but everything goes through Tony. It says, I feels like AEW has really started to come back strong since 2024 started. And while I know QT works really hard, he has a lot of respect backstage. I'd hate to see a return to the 2023 creative direction. Listen, Tony was the one who had the final say over any and all of that. So anything that happened, he had to sign off on. And I think that is important to remember. QT obviously has a lot of influence. I wonder if that will be less now that he's back and not in a wrestling role, so he won't be pushing for himself there. But it all goes through Tony. Also important to remember, take care of your body with Fitbod. Fitbod.me/PPV. You want to check this out. This is going to take your workouts to a new level. Daily workouts, goal and experience settings, muscle recovery, the ability to connect to all your devices. They have timed intervals, circuits and supersets, equipment selection. This stuff has helped me out a lot as I'm trying to get in the best shape of my life. And the thing I like about it, when I travel, it is so useful. So maybe you have weights one day, you have bands the next, and maybe the next day you don't have any equipment. You can only do body weight exercises. Fitbod is going to cater your workout to that, and it's going to cater your workouts based on how fresh your muscles are. You can ask a trainer, you can use video demonstrations and exercise instructions. If you don't know what you're doing, you need to stop guessing and start working. And at fitbod.me/PPV, you can redeem your 25% off code, and you can download to try it now for free. Fitbod, that's fitbod.me/PPV. Over 150,000 five-star reviews and over 5 million downloads. fitbod.me/ppv. Jared says WWE has this Escape the Undertaker's Graveyard experience in Riyadh. Seems like bad optics for a country known for hiding the bodies of journalists. Yeah, when you put it like that, it seems like a pretty bad idea. Seems like a pretty bad idea, but they're getting paid an insane amount of money, so they're probably not going to give a shit. Is it too early to be a little concerned on how WWE is using Jade because of maybe 2 matches in 4 months? No, absolutely not. She came over after having a bunch of matches on tape TV. They wanted to make sure that she could work WWE style. They are having her do media. I got an interview with her dropping in the next couple of weeks. But I don't think that's concerning at all. Once we see her in the ring, if it isn't there and it looks like, oh no, those 65 matches that she did in AEW really didn't do anything for her, well, then I think it's time for concern. But most of the matches that she did were taped. I think she did Double or Nothing, maybe Battle of the Belts, and Dynamite against Red Velvet as I'm looking, like the last year live. You got to get her those reps. They put her in there brand new. BL says, any examples of 90 to 95% prediction and crazy shit that happened? How was Vegas win any money? I was in and out of Vegas in 17 hours. It was great. I used to really hate Vegas. I hate the trip there, but it's very easy to get around. Like compared to, SummerSlam or in Nashville's pretty easy too. It's just nuts there. So compared to like LA where everything's spaced out 45, 50 minutes. Yeah, but I didn't gamble. 90 to 95% prediction. Crazy shit that happened. Mercedes is 90 to 95% positive. The CM Punk thing 2 weeks before would have been 90 to 95% no. I only found out that CM Punk and Triple H had a conversation 7 days before Survivor Series. Actually told Denise after the Monday Night Raw before Survivor Series that they had a talk. But that was one that WWE had been adamant. They were not interested in bringing him back, and they had one really great conversation, and it changed. Do you think MJF's reign changed the essence of AEW? A little bit. I think that they fell in love with that Adam Cole story, which won, Fightful Award storyline of the year. But I do think it did a little bit. And the integration of Adam Copeland and the CM Punk popping in and out of there and Christian Cage emerging. Yeah, I think they fell a little bit in love with the sports entertainment aspect. But here's the thing. A lot of people liked AEW because they felt disenfranchised by WWE. WWE doesn't suck anymore, man. So there's no reason to be like, hey, let's do the same thing they're doing. You know what I mean? Any news on Yuka Sakazaki? It's been some time since she left Tokyo Joshi Pro to move to the U.S. But she's been wrestling, or she had been wrestling rather, since I want to say late October, because she had some time off. I think she had a neck injury. I haven't heard anything about her in the last month and a half. I know that around like October, there were some ideas being floated around for her, and she was there a lot. Like she was backstage a lot. But I haven't heard anything of late. Jay Miller says, I find it odd that Braun Corbin won the tag titles if Braun is main roster bound. Is Baron headed back up too? Seems like a waste of Tony D and Stacks. Well, first off, I think that Tony D and Stacks have made an incredible name for themselves on a gimmick that should not have probably worked. I mean, this gimmick didn't work in ECW, and they went for all kinds of crazy-ass gimmicks back then. But I think they did good. They had a good 3-month reign as tag champs. Braun Breaker, Baron Corbin winning is, I think, probably emblematic of what Shawn Michaels said, where he said, well, you know what? Just because they get called up doesn't mean they can't finish out what they're doing here. There was a time back in whenever Riddle came up, and it affected the plans for like 8 or 9 people. They had to change so much. Now they're able to finish out stories and maybe kick off new ones on NXT even after they find out they're called up. Alex says, happy Valentine's Day, Fightful. You guys helped me love pro wrestling again. Well, goddamn, that is one of the nicest things that somebody could say. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. And we hope that you like what we do here. We are very proud that we have both the most paid and free content in wrestling. Flame Inc. says, do you think Billy Graham is the most influential wrestler of all time? Without him, there would be no Hogan or Flair, no Rock or wrestling, then no WCW or Attitude Era. He's underrated IMO. He's certainly one of the most. And I think that even though his karate gimmick didn't work, he also inspired a lot of people to reinvent themselves as well. I think that because the majority of his stuff was before the cable TV era, and then once the cable TV era hit, first off, he was not doing a ton, right? Like he was on Superstars and stuff, but he wasn't really doing a lot. He never wrestled after 87. He did some things, but a lot of what fans saw of him on cable TV was like him winning a squash match or two, or maybe losing to Butch Reed. And then after that, he was on the outs with WWE, and they didn't really celebrate him as much. I think that's a big reason why he doesn't get the respect that he probably deserves. Black Mega Man says, with 2020 hindsight, was that SI article true about what the WrestleMania plans were at the time? No. Not only was it not true, and all due respect to Justin Barrasso and Sports Illustrated, but I mean, he called me and told me that it wasn't true, and he issued a correction for it. But I mean, people saying that Cody wasn't going to main event WrestleMania and wasn't going to finish his story. Well, yes, he was going to main event WrestleMania. It just wasn't going to be with Roman Reigns. It would have been night one. Also, that story said that Gunther was going to win the Royal Rumble. He was not. It said that Gunther was going to win the world title. He was not. Have you heard about WWE bringing back King of the Ring or Queen of the Ring? So last year they were going to, or at least maybe King of the Ring. I don't know if Queen of the Ring was going to come back too. But they had to do the world title tournament, so they didn't. So I think they should this year, but I haven't heard that they are. Have you heard what Rock is doing at Mania? I can only assume that he is teaming with The Rock or teaming with Roman to face Seth and Cody night one. The WrestleMania commercial made it pretty clear. I'd be shocked if they don't do Rock and Roman in the future. Do you think Swerve should win at Revolution? I do. Yeah, I do think he should. But Samoa Joe is also killing it. When I had found out, like right around the time Samoa Joe was going to win the title, that he was winning, I was like, okay, MJF's hurt. Very clearly, they were going to do it with Cole, but shit happened. Let's see how Samoa Joe is. Guy in his 40s taking the belt off a year-plus reign from a guy in his 20s, and it was the right decision. Samoa Joe was the right decision. He's just been incredible. New Lac City says, SRS, hope you and the missus have a good day today. Why is QT coming back? Because they value him as a VP. They very much value him as a VP. Where the hell is Jonathan Gresham? He worked GCW, the Jersey Cup this past weekend. He did a match against Alec Price. He teamed up with Mike Bailey. Really, really good match. It was like a 20-minute tag match. He worked in the UK. He did like that seminar thing where he had somebody go and like learn from him while he was in the UK. He just did an extended tour over there. I want to say a couple weeks. He did GCW last month and some other stuff. He was off, I think, for most of December, but he did All Japan before that too. But I'd be trying to bring him back into ROH if I were AEW. Any WWE talks happened between Tama Tonga and Camille? Camille, yes. Tama, I don't know. I'll find out, though. What issues existed between AEW and QT that led to his departure, and how beneficial could he be for AEW now that he's back? Seems to be well liked. Yeah, I mean, there were some fundamental disagreements with the direction of the show, which I believe now he understands that he needs to work within their vision more. He also wanted himself as a performer a lot more. He believes in himself. And I can tell you there are times that AEW has believed in him too. Anybody who was at those Toronto tapings, the first one they did, can tell you how much they relied on QT for heat. It was an incredible amount. He is in the best shape he's ever been in. He looks amazing. So he's, getting his check, doing something he's great at. And I think he's going to try to prove himself. And meanwhile, he is also going to run Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling, which I think is a good idea. I think it's a very smart idea. KE775 says, you mentioned a couple times throughout the year that Vince changed the finish on Mania. You recently mentioned you felt that Vince felt Cody should wait a year. Was that the match he changed? No, it was not the match he changed. I know what the match is now. I don't know if I can say it right now. I'll speak with some of the parties involved, but yeah, I'll see what I can find out. Now, man, I can tell you the Raw after Mania was definitely a lot different before Vince changed it. Changed a lot of shit. And I heard it was outright good before Vince changed a lot of shit. Do you think it's Indy Hartwell, Jade Cargill, or someone else as the final Women's Elimination Chamber participant? It should be Indy Hartwell. It should absolutely be Indy Hartwell. It should be Indy Hartwell, and Grayson Waller's got his Grayson Waller effect, and then Bronson Reed should get a match as well. I don't know to do what, but he should get a match doing something there. It would be really weird if they didn't. Very weird. Will Mercedes be a heel or a baby face? And with the Boston graphic, will the Boston gimmick be making a comeback? I doubt the Boss gimmick will be making a comeback. I think they can get away with saying Boston, but they can't get away with calling her the Boss. As far as I know, if you start to see some trademarks come through, well, it could be a lot different story. I believe she's going to be a baby face. It's going to be very hard to have her as a heel, being as big of a star as she is. What else we got? Let me look through these. But yeah, I think that Mercedes, I think that it'd be a slam dunk for her to be a baby face. Like, how could you have her be a heel in that spot? Do you think AEW will drop more hint about Mercedes before Big Business? Yeah, I think we'll see it. I think we'll see it hinted at on numerous shows. Is there any crime in combat? Thoughts on Joe's son? So there is no list goes on today because I'm doing this show by myself. So instead, what I did on Fightful Select, I dropped the audio for a series we're doing called Crime in Combat. It's one I've wanted to do for so long. And the first episode is about Joe's son. And some of you are like, who the hell is Joe's son? He's the guy that threw a shoe at Austin Powers. And he also wrestled in a thong against Hashimoto. And he also fought in the UFC. And he also killed a guy and participated in a horrific sexual assault. This is covering that story. The audio of it is up on Fightful Select now, and we'll probably give you all of those. Like we did with the Punk presentation and all that stuff, we'll give you all of those ahead of time over there. What is QT's V? Ooh, I got rid of one of the starred messages. Let me go find it. Oh, man. Damn it. Any news on potential re-signings for WWE? The way Drew's been pushed, feels like he's got the extension. Have they stopped extending talks for now? I will have an update on Drew tomorrow on FightfulSelect.com. I've been asking around about it. I can tell you what the claims are as of now, and we'll have that story on Fightful Select. But no, they're re-signing people. They brought in Naomi. They brought in Andrade. They signed Jade. They re-signed Charlotte. They re-signed Dom and Ray. They're still re-signing people. Any truth to Ricky Stark's contract being up soon? I have asked him numerous times. I've asked people around him numerous times. He wants to play it close to the vest. I'm going to keep trying to find out. I'm going to keep trying to find out. It's Valentine's Day, friends. Don't let your loved one leave disappointed. You know, Fightful and Blue Chew have been at it a long time. Maybe you've been at it a long time. Maybe you're lacking that motivation. Maybe you're lacking that confidence. You don't think you have what you once had. Blue Chew is here to get you there. BlueChew.com and the code FIGHTFUL. You'll get your first shipment free. Of what? Well, it's a chewable tablet that has the same ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so it gets your performance ready to go. It's prescribed online. It ships straight to your door. You do an online consultation, and if approved, you'll be back to that main event level performance. Sometimes it's not even about performance. It's about that confidence. And Blue Chew is going to make sure that you have that. Blue Chew and the code FIGHTFUL. Your first shipment free. Just pay $5 shipping. What is there to lose? BlueChew.com and the code FIGHTFUL. Check it out, guys. Blue Chew. What is QT's VP role backstage? Well, I don't know what it is now. I'm not sure what it is now, but he was vice president of show and creative coordination. With us being about 52 days away from Mania, any indication on the Hall of Fame this year? I'm sorry, I do not have the answer to that. A lot of people always assume they should go geographically located, but they never seem to do that for some reason, for whatever reason that is. But I have heard it will be a smaller field, or at least it was planned to be. I still think they have people, Bray Wyatt would be a headliner, Batista a headliner, The Rock a headliner, Heyman. I think they've got like 4 or 5 years still of headliners. Watched Iron Claw. It was interesting to see MVP or MJF with an EP credit. What did you think of it? Got me thinking Kerry would have taken the Warrior gimmick. I think that Kerry's charisma is so much different than James Hellwig's was, so I think that it was with the right person. Sarit, I've answered this 3 times. I don't have the answer to this. I'm sorry. The 3 faces gimmick. It was a tragic story. And they even left out a whole brother. And somebody was like, man, I watched this Iron Claw show, or this Iron Claw movie. Was it really that bad? And I'm like, no, it was worse. It was absolutely worse. It's heartbreaking, man. Thought they made a beautiful movie, though. Bronson can't go because wife is about to deliver, maybe. I am not willing to speak for people. I know that's a rumor that everybody just brought up and said, oh, well, he can't. He can't because, well, we'll see. We'll see. K775 says, do you think Drew and WWE have a deal or close to a deal considering his booking and they have him advertised for shows in May? That is still after Mania. I think that I've got some details on when it's, or at least vaguely when it's up. They want to get a deal done from what I understand. Bronson's wife is due. Guys, listen, I know this, but I don't want to speak for somebody personally in that sense. Is there simply no hope for free agents coming from New Japan to go to WWE? Seems like a waste for AEW to just pick them up to stockpile them. Buddy, WWE did this for years. For years. AEW has 6 hours of cable TV. WWE has, let's see, about 7 hours of cable TV. 7 hours and 5 minutes if you include speed. But I don't think that it is bad for them to add people with the name of Kazuchika Okada and Mercedes and the like. Like, you want to stack your roster like that. And people that aren't working out, their deals can go up, and that's it. Mitchell says, hope you're doing well. Wonder if there's any AJ Styles Mania plans. Could it be him versus Logan versus LA Knight for the U.S. title? Mitchell, I think if they go this route, they'll have like a star-studded ladder match. And that's my hunch, not a report. But I think that that's what would make the most sense right now. You can maximize Logan Paul's athleticism, maximize the star power there. Because if you think about it, Rhea Becky, Io Bailey, Naomi, Bianca, Jade got to do something. They're big names, so that'll be a third match. Women's tag titles. Gunther, his match. Probably Awesome Truth against Judgment Day. There's 6 matches right there. You do Cody Roman, Seth's world title match. You do the big time tag team match, right? Jimmy J. That's 10 right there. 10. I would love to see them do men's and women's Andre Battle Royal. And you're already at 12 matches. So how are you going to fit all these, like LA Knight, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Logan Paul, etc., into a match? Big ladder match. Chi-Town Spurs says, is WWE really banking on free agents being their dream to work there rather than offering them a competitive salary to what TK is offering? It's hard to say how they'll operate under Endeavor. Endeavor let Francis Ngannou walk out the door. Now, the Ngannou Fury pay-per-view buys, I mean, I think Meltzer said they were terrible, like just horrible. But I mean, they were designed to make a site fee off of Saudi and made millions. But the UFC allowed one of their biggest potential fights ever to walk through the door, just walk out the door. How that will affect WWE, I don't know. Any news on if Nick Aldis will wrestle? He's open to it. There have been people within the company that have long pushed for it. Unless I'm mistaken, Netflix gets international PLEs. Was there any response from Peacock since they're taking content away from them? A lot of the PLEs, I believe, are on the network right now overseas. Any feedback or anything taken from Peacock would be because that deal is up at that particular point. BL says, do you think they will ever have someone else besides Tony Khan make the major announcements? He looks uncomfortable in front of the camera. You know, it is weird. I know that it's heavily produced and all that stuff, and you can tell he doesn't look comfortable on camera. But then in the interview with Cam Newton, he's great. Anytime I've talked to him, he's been great. He's very natural in person. Just when that red light hits, it is a little bit robotic. And he's a perfectionist too, from what I understand. But yeah, I could see them having somebody else do it if he chose that down the line. But maybe one day the switch will flip. Vince didn't want to be in the Hall of Fame. He got his wish. How would you put the biggest name in wrestling history into the Hall of Fame with all this around him? Well, I wouldn't ever in any capacity. Vince didn't want to be in it, so you don't even have to bring that. It doesn't even have to be a thing. How long until Okada and Monet become just another member of the roster like most of the AEW signings? TK seems to flop most, not all big signings. I give everybody the benefit of the doubt until it happens. Adam Copeland is just a member of the roster now, it feels like. But Okada, I feel like that'll be a little bit different. Mercedes, I think, will be transformative for the women's division. I think it'll be big for the women's division. They are adding, so they're subtracting Sting, and that's a bummer. But, he's a supporting player. But they just got back the Young Bucks after a while. They're still, without Omega, without Cole. They're hopefully getting back Pac. They're adding Ospreay, Okada, Mercedes. Who knows when Britt and Jamie will be back? There's an awful lot to look forward to there. Flame Inc. says Aldis versus Pierce at Mania. I don't know if Adam Pierce has the desire to wrestle at this point. I would love it. I would like that. Also, I want to see like an NWA Champions Roundtable. That'd be cool. But I don't think that he'll wrestle. I would love it, though. What is with all the big free agents going to AEW, or are they offering that much more money? They're offering good deals. They're offering 7-figure deals here. And I have long told you guys this, man. Like, you'll have that weird sect of like AEW haters that will chop up clips and be like, yeah, well, Sean doesn't know what he's talking about. I have long said this, guys. Like, Tony Khan doesn't need to do this for the money. Shad Khan doesn't need to do this for the money. He wanted to do a wrestling company the way that he wanted. If they make $5, if they lose $5 million, it's sort of up to them, whatever they deem successful. It's up to them. they make $1 billion, whatever. It's really their decision. It's their company. If they want to run it at a loss, at cost, or for an incredible profit, they can adjust their company to do that. WWE has to answer to stockholders and shareholders and board members and things like that. So AEW right now has a little more wiggle room to do that. And they're really banking on their media rights deal to help make up for that. Remember, do more fit well, WWE or AEW? Probably WWE. I think WWE because a lot of the TNA people are there. Like you've got Petey Williams and you've got Abyss there. Yeah. Do you think AEW will have Hall of Fame Legends contracts? They sort of do for some of their merchandising deals. Are they making Becky too obvious as the Elimination Chamber winner? Wonder if they give Liv the win and maybe do Becky Rhea later, provided Becky resigns. I just think they'll go with the Becky Rhea one. It's the one they've been teasing. Liv is very over. She was very over in Lexington. I just think that what else do you do at Mania? Where else do you go with Becky? And with her contract being up in a few months, I'm sure they'll get a deal done, but just in case, you do this match. What is one stigma of wrestling fans you'd like to see change as a member of wrestling media? Well, the one that I wanted to see change for a long time within media and advertising was that wrestling fans don't spend money. WWE did not get nearly the amount of money they deserved on their media rights deals for a long time because of this weird stigma that wrestling fans didn't spend money. Wrestling fans spend money. Now, granted, Fightful Select prices itself to be as cost effective as possible, but wrestling fans want to invest in what they love. One stigma is the IWC. That's one thing I want to see gone. Like the IWC believes, no, the IWC, quote, is made up of millions of different people with vastly different opinions, feelings, and emotions. There is not some fabled dark corner of the world fan base that just doesn't reflect the people who also type out their feelings. Because people who type out their feelings, it's broad, it's vast, it's not any uniform thing. People have different opinions. Mateo says, got a hot take, want your opinion on it. All of AEW's top current talent will in some form be on WWE TV by 2026. No, absolutely not. No, because there are numerous wrestlers whose contracts are into 2027. I wish there was just more I could provide on this, but no, absolutely not. I would put this at a 97, 98% no. Actually, I put it at a 99% no. Almost no chance of this. Will says, I think they want Jade in the chamber because they don't want Jade in the chamber because they don't want her to get pinned in that type of match before her first singles match. Rumble was different. She can go over the top. This exactly, Will. The visual of somebody getting pinned, especially in a one-on-one capacity, unless everybody in the match hit their finishes on her, then as opposed to going over the top rope, like when I worked on the indies, I would always find it really, really weird when people are like, I don't want to lose this battle royal. And I'm like, man, you're going over the top rope. You did that in 3 matches ago. What are you talking about? Will says, did you notice on Raw they had the crowd darker on TV like black and NXT Gold? I haven't watched it back on TV, but I like it lit up more. I don't know if it was a venue thing, but I like it lit up a lot more. Flame Inc. says, should AEW run NXT-sized venues? No, that's basically a studio. You don't realize how small the NXT is, unless you mean the pay-per-view PLEs. Then in that case, yeah. Now, Quiet TV, they need to mic a lot of things better. They mic'd the Texas show recently really good. There are changes that are being made now. Like, here's the thing that I noticed. Instead of saying Cedar Park for tonight's show, they're saying Austin. That's not something they did before, which is something they should do more of. Make it seem like you're in the bigger city. I think they should go to more different venues, the Hammerstein ballrooms, I'm not saying like the Globe Theater, but something that looks like that, right? Do something smaller, more intimate. Also, make your tickets cheaper. That way, more people come. Can you see a winner takes all match between Roman Rock, Cody Rock, or Roman Rock versus Cody Seth? Would be very fun to watch. Rock would need to win the chamber somehow. No. I think it'll just be a tag match the night before. That's how I view it. Jason McGill, by the way, guys, get in your super chats, get in your humper chats. We are heading down the home stretch. Any updates on the location for Mania 41? Minnesota was the original favorite, then Vegas. Whoa. I never said Vegas. I never reported anything about Vegas. I never said Vegas at all. I said I thought it was interesting that they hadn't announced it yet, but Minneapolis is the front runner. As best I know, I feel like if it was going to be Vegas, they would have announced it this past week. And I believe the next year's venue is usually announced by now. But it's never official until it's announced. Never official until it was announced. Jason, I didn't miss it. We've got them starred over here. As we wrap up here, Nelson says, WWE trying to compete with one of the UEFA Champions League semifinals on May 1st in Italy is dumb and typically WWE. They probably don't even know that 3 Italian teams are still in the tournament. Well, friend, I don't know shit about that, so I am not qualified to speak on that. I mean, obviously, UEFA Champions League is enormous. I know that, so you're not going to get a who out of me. Any news on MJF status? He's healing up. I should be seeing him in 2 or 3 weeks. Please leave a thumbs up on this video, guys. We got Rob cheering you guys on here. Please leave us a thumbs up. Please comment below. I'm back on the AEW podcast tonight. Do you think Mania will come back to MetLife? I don't know about anytime soon. Boy, I think after they saw how great everything is in Vegas, I'd be shocked if they didn't do Vegas sometime. I don't want to go anywhere cold. Any idea of location for Forbidden Door this year? Yes, but that isn't my story to break. It is somebody else's story to break because they found out before me, and I've got a lot of respect for that person, and I will, that is theirs to break. But yeah, MJF status, by the way, man, he had a lot of injuries. Like, I cannot begin to tell you guys how banged up that guy was. And not only that, mentally exhausted. A lot of the online stuff weighs on him. He is his worst critic. That's why you'll almost never see MJF have 2 badly received promos back to back, because he takes that criticism personally and always wants to improve, and he's a big student of it. Oh, guys, thank you all so much. Happy Valentine's Day. We are out.